The statement that security is everybody's business became more real and actionable over the past few days following different attacks.
Now, sentiments were put aside, and as we witnessed a surge in insecurity threats from Kebbi State, precisely at the Government Girls Comprehensive Secondary School, Maga, where 25 schoolgirls were abducted, to the killing and abduction of worshippers from Christ Apostolic Church, Iroku, in Kwara State, and the over 300 children abducted in Niger State from St. Mary's Catholic Church, among others. Nigeria has been on its toes with silent prayers on everyone's lips.
Though some of the abductees have been rescued following days of security operations, the times, however, require action for a more lasting solution. And that exactly what was President Bola Tinubu's did last Wednesday when he declared a national security emergency.
And one of the specific directions from the president to the police was the recruitment of an additional 20,000 officers to show up the total to 50,000, with authorization from the force to use various National Youth Service Corps camps as training facilities.
We also know that the president directed that the police officers withdrawn from VIPs in the country should undergo crash trainings for debriefing and delivery of more efficient police services when deployed to challenged communities.
It has been a long time coming, and observers are clearly applauding the president's directive. Now, the long work, or perhaps the end in sight to our freedom, begins now, and more than ever before, we as a nation seek hope and pray for a violence-free society. But the question is, how do you come in? Will the state of emergency declared on security be the answer to our prayers? Well, it's a thought-provoking package today as we unpack the modalities and intricacies of the national security emergency. I am Zuma Yusuf. Welcome to Good Morning Nigeria.
You're right, Jemai. Those are big questions that I guess we need to answer, give answers to this morning. I am Ademola Adeoye. Welcome to Good Morning Nigeria, reaching you live from the network service of the NTA, the first for the week, and of course, the first episode for the month of December 2025. We also have a second topic, and this is, of course, speaks to the creative industry and indeed Nigerians as we unveil the 2025 Zuma Film Festival. In a moment, we will begin with highlights of the morning news and much later, newspaper review. Thanks for staying with us. You're still on to Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. And just before we bring in our panel, our guest, for our conversation on national security emergency for today, let's take this background report by Timothy Yusuf.
Nigeria is currently grappling with security issues, prompting President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to declare a state of emergency. Many believe that this move comes in response to escalating attacks, including mass kidnappings of school children and a surge in insecurity across the country. The security challenges confronting the nation, although not peculiar to Nigeria alone, include Boko Haram and ISWAP, with terrorist groups continuing to operate in Nigeria. Banditry and kidnapping, with armed groups targeting civilians, including school children, seems to be on the rise. Lakurawa Group, a new extremist group linked to Al-Qaeda's Sahel affiliate, has also emerged. Far-reaching key measures are already being put in place to containing the situation. First, recruitment of security personnel with 20,000 additional police officers being recruited with 30,000 more previously approved. Deployment of forest guards is another key intervention, where forest guards will be deployed under the Department of State Services to protect remote areas. Federal support with state-run security outfits is another key measure, with states receiving the needed support. Furthermore, Unified Theatre Command is another key area, with a unified command proposed to unify military operations and improve coordination. As government continues to work to address these challenges through enhanced collaboration, innovative strategies, and proactive measures, what are other things that needs to be done, including citizens' participation?
Thank you, Timothy Yusuf, for that background report. And remember, Nigerians, the president did not declare a state of emergency in security. He declared a national security emergency. So they're two different things, actually. And we have seated here in the studio, as usual, Dr. Kabir Adamu. This morning is a security risk management expert. We're going to tap into his knowledge of how this national security emergency rules. We'll find out all about in the course of our conversation. Mr. Demola.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning to you. It's so good to see you again.
Same here.
Just had you last week. Also joining us via Zoom from Jos is General Tem Long. Is the pioneer Commander, Multinational Joint Task Force and Security Consultant. General, you are welcome. Good morning to you.
Multinational Joint Task Force and Security Consultant. Thank you very much. Good morning. Good morning, Nigeria. Pleasure to see you again.
Let's just stay with you, General, so that we can get your feel on the declaration of the national security emergency by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I mean, this is not the first time in this country. We remember that, if you could recollect, the first national security emergency was declared in 1962 during the Action Group crisis in the West. Then also by former President Olusegun Obasanjo and former President Jonathan. So with this declaration of national security emergency, what do you think is likely to happen? Would you solve the problem? Will it solve the current insecurity problem that we have in the country?
Well, thank you very much. An emergency, as it were, is a situation which is dangerous that requires immediate action. So when you talk of security emergency or national security emergency, it means that the security situation is dangerous or in a very serious state that requires immediate action. I think what the president has done, he has laid out some of the details that will be required, just putting more boots on the ground for the armed forces, the police, and the security agencies. But I think it goes even beyond that, because for us to tackle the situation, the National Assembly need to do their own bit too. Because what is required now is that you have to give the president's declaration some legal backing. What the president has said is that he's going to put more boots on the ground. Now, what it means is that they are going to train these people. They are not going to put 30,000 policemen on the ground today. No. It requires training them. It requires facilities to train them. It requires equipping them, arming and equipping them. So also with the soldiers that they are going to recruit. So it means then that there has to be some fast tracking, allowing the president to spend more money to do that. But while that is going on, because it will take time to get these people on, you need technology as a force multiplier. So it means then they have to give the president some authorization to spend more money to acquire some of this equipment that will be required to fill in the gap while the boots are being prepared and getting ready to be on the ground. So it requires a double-pronged action by the National Assembly and the presidency. So what I see going forward is that since there's a group, the Nigerian group that will interface with the US group, It means that once they're interfacing, there are some equipment or some platforms that the Americans might make available to us and which we have to buy. And so in an emergency, you don't have to go through the normal procurement process. So it means you have to give the president some of those authorizations to do those things. Other than that, we need again to look at what the state governors are doing. You might need to limit some of their powers in that emergency declaration, because I saw a very dangerous situation where they say the governor of Zamfara State released some 500 hardened bandits through some amnesty situation using his powers of prerogative of mercy. I think those things should be stopped, because you are putting those people back into the system and they become more and more hardened and dangerous. It means the president has to, or the National Assembly has to curb some of those powers from the state government, so that you have synergy and have something that will be done at a centralized place, monitoring and seeing what is going on. Side by side with that, it means again that the cyberspace has to be dominated, because what is going on in the cyberspace is dangerous. So many rumors going out, some are detrimental to national security. So I think we need to look at the way we will curb some of those reports and bring some of those culprits to book too. So the military and the security services will have to dominate the cyberspace, get some authorization to track and open up a communication of certain people, to be able to get the service providers of network service providers to give them call logs of people without going to court. So these are some of the holistic things that I see the National Assembly pushing more powers to the president to make this declaration an effective one. Not just the normal one that we say this, but there must be some serious legal backing, and that with that the armed forces should be able to carry out their own without impediment. Well, even doing that, we must now remember too that there are international laws, the laws of war, arms conflict. So the armed forces or the security agencies must operate within those legal backing, so that they don't run foul of international laws. But on a whole, I think what the president has done is the right thing in the right direction, but he needs to get legal backing. And that is what I thought the National Assembly should have sat down to debate, not the one that they did and said they are going to support resolutions. Those resolutions will not do anything, because the president already taken a decision to declare an emergency. So it's left for them to have actually sat down and get some experts. They were supposed to have had a summit today by the Senate, but they postponed it. So I would have seen them that the leadership should call some experts and call those in service now and say, look, what are those things that we can do to give backing to this state of emergency that has been declared by the president, to make it effective, to make it have the bite that it requires, not just the noise that we used to have in those days. And so there has to be some serious work going on at the National Assembly now. While the executive branch, the military are planning and carrying out what they need to do, then there has to be certain things that should be done by the National Assembly to carry on all those things. So I think the president has done something good, and I believe that Nigerians itself too, we need to now teach Nigerians and build their capacity as to their responsibilities as to security. Because what is going on now, it shows a total lack of awareness by Nigerians. These kidnappers live within us. They come and reconnaissance, they do carry out reconnaissance of their targets. They ask information about their targets from citizens within, and then they buy food from within the communities and then carry out their actions without late or hindrance. And sometimes they even give false information to the security to divert their attentions while they move in a different direction. So I think Nigerians themselves, and that brings me to the responsibilities of governors, local governments, and then the National Orientation Agency to act. So we need to do that as quickly as possible to get it. Since it's a whole of government approach, everybody must be on their hands must be on deck for us to cap these things. Intelligence, security awareness, information being passed at the right time. And when you get those information, the military must build the capability, the capacity and capability to react. Reacting in such a way that it will be quite decisive. So you need some lift capabilities that will move, not going on vehicles that are road bound. So you need those things that have to be bought as quickly as possible. You need helicopters that will insert people into very difficult terrains. You need some striking capabilities by some of those helicopters and drones that will be decisive, so that by the time they know whatever they do, wherever they are, there are no hiding places. And so you need eyes from the sky, you need eyes on the ground, and you need a reaction and a decisive reaction and a lift capability that should be able to take you. So it has to be a comprehensive package, and that means we have to spend some additional money. And these monies that were being put are not within the medium-term expenditure or the budget that has been passed. So it requires some extra budgetary requirement. That's why the National Assembly has to come in as quickly as possible to give the president the authorization. I'll stop at that for now. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
You've touched on so many areas, concerning security as an expert yourself, and we thank you for your opening comment. We'll return to you so that we can talk more. Now, Dr. Kabir Adamu, General Temlong has touched on, collaboration between the state, the National Assembly, and the presidency, because most of these insurgencies happens in the states and the local government, and he's saying that most of these people know these people, and it will be easy to be able to grab them. But Nigerians, I believe, need to know the precise scope. I don't know if I have an idea, the precise scope of the national security emergency that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has declared, because we've had we have state of emergencies across Nigeria since from the 60s to now, but this is the first time it is becoming national. And what's the scope like, and what do you think were the immediate threats that triggered this declaration itself?
Thank you, Jummai. And yes, when we looked back in history, we counted 7 periods when previous heads of states declared state of emergency. Most times, either at state level or at regional level. But this is the first time we're having a declaration that is national. And also, more importantly, that the word state of emergency was not used. What was used was national emergency in security. So which means it is specific to a particular government function. And in this instance, the most important function in government as specified in section 14, subsection 2 of the Constitution, which is the provision of or protection of citizens' property and, of course, lives. So to that extent, it's critical. Now, what were the triggers? I think the number one trigger is the threat by President Trump. Of course, we all know we woke up one day and President Trump went to Truth Social and threatened that he was going to invade Nigeria. He also followed up that threat by asking his Department of War to come up with a war plan. And incidentally, they did, at least according to New York Times, come up with a war plan with 3 scenarios. He also followed that by making some, I would say, very unfortunate statements describing Nigeria as a disgraceful country. And then, saying that there is, for me, the most worrisome part, that there is collusion between the government and the actors that are attacking Nigerians. And then, of course, talked about Christian genocide. So all of this, given that the U.S. is the most powerful military state in the world, definitely made Nigeria, both government and the people, concerned. And of course, we all know what happened. The government set up a committee headed by the National Security Advisor. The committee visited the United States, had meetings with some congressmen and with the Secretary of War. And of course, when the outcome of that meeting led to the constitution of a committee that the president has already named members, naming the National Security Advisor as the chairman of that committee. So just like General Temlong said, over the next coming days, we hope to see meetings between Nigeria and the United States. Now, apart from that, domestically here, we've seen a lot of reaction. Of course, security has become increasingly politicized. We've seen the opposition parties, commenting on the issue. We've seen most recently the former president Obasanjo coming to also, chip in his own part, where he alleged that the government was being very soft with the bandits, and it went viral. So, I mean, these are some of the reasons that has led to the declaration of the state of emergency. By virtue of the fact that I run a firm and we have a database, we know that as at the end of this November, the period where we are, about 10,000 Nigerians have been killed. And that is alarming. And that is why the government is taking this matter seriously. Apart from the president's statement, the National Assembly, both the Senate and the House, dedicated almost 2 weeks to discuss at plenary the issue of security. Some of the conversations were held, in the open plenary, while others were in secret, confidential sessions. So that would give us an idea of the severity of the state of security in Nigeria. And of course, the president as the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, which, by the way, by virtue of section 130, subsection 1 of the Constitution, grants him the authority as commander-in-chief to take action. Also, section 305 of the Constitution also grants him additional power, in this instance, to declare a state of emergency. But I think, considering perhaps a lot of issues, the president did not go as far as declaring a state of emergency. He declared national emergency in security. And what did he announce? He announced about 7 things. Number one is what I would describe as a surge in policing. On the one hand, he declared that police who are deployed to VIPs be withdrawn, and that once they are withdrawn, of course, they will be deployed to support, policing domestically. The other aspect is he also instructed the recruitment of an additional 20,000 police. If you add it to his already existing 30,000, it makes it now 50,000. The second thing he also did, or third thing in this instance, is the issue of forest guards. He requested that the already trained forest guards by the DSS be now deployed. Now, according to the latest available figure, which unfortunately is as far back as August, we know that 24,000 forest guards have been trained so far. We don't know the current figure. If there are more than 24, I hope that the DSS would announce it so that at least we're clear about the exact number. He also talked about livestock. Of course, one of the contributors of the fatalities in the country is this farmer-herder violence. And his administration has created the Ministry of Livestock Development, and open grazing has been one of the contentious issues. And of course, that ministry is currently discussing how to to move from open grazing to ranching. So he did speak about that. But I think the most significant one that has got Nigerians really discussing is this issue of state police.
Yes.
He gave his backing to state police.
Long overdue.
And then he urged the National Assembly to take a decision. Now, because of the significance, if I'm right, that is contained in section 214 of the Constitution. And because it requires a constitutional review, it's not an issue that would happen today. It would take a bit of time. And he rightly advised the National Assembly to give it their attention. Now, it's coming on the heels of a meeting by Southern governors where, together with traditional rulers, the Southern governors were unequivocally clear about their support for state policing. From what we know, even though it's not been formally announced, the Northern governors too, perhaps apart from just 2 states, are also supportive of it. So that means we have, quote and unquote, political consensus on the issue of state police.
But imagine, in emergencies like this, can't they expedite action on it?
So and this is what I love about the contribution by General Temlong. Emergencies are meant to show urgency. And when I looked at almost globally, how presidents across the world have approached the issue of emergency, the first thing they do is when they declare, it abrogates to them certain powers beyond what ordinarily they would exercise. So as an example, they are able to spend more money, they are able to make certain declarations, and in some instances they are able to suspend some of our rights. And that means they are empowering the security agencies. Now, sadly, and I think this is what perhaps I would love to focus on, the president made the declaration on the 26th of November, where today is 1st of December. Between that period and now, we've recorded several instances. In fact, just over the weekend, attacks in Kogi State, attack in Sokoto State, attack even here in Abuja, attack in Borno State, Chibok. So, point I'm making is, yes, the president has made that declaration, but the urgency associated with the situation that should have stopped these non-state actors to continue attacking has not happened yet. So I'm hoping that the various security agencies, about 29 of them, will pick on the president's current disposition, because clearly the president is concerned about this issue. But we need to move from concern to actual actions. How do we dominate the space? The entire 774 local government and about 8,000 plus wards. How do we dominate them to stop these bad guys from acting? And that for me would be the urgency of the emergency. And I, just like General Temlong said, what happens, the actions that follow the declaration by the president would allow us to dominate the space effectively. Again, 774 local government.
What are the key measures do you think that the government should prioritize now?
Number one,
for them to be able to implement this declaration.
Number one, and this is like a direct message, and thank you for giving me the audience to speak to my president. He should declare a war on banditry.
Okay.
Declare war on banditry. We know that there are between 25,000 and 30,000 bandits in Nigeria. We know where their camps are. At least we have an idea of all the forested areas. The president should be categorical in declaring a war on banditry. Number two, the president should declare a war on terrorism. There are about 6 or 7 terrorist groups in the country. Each of them we know where they are located. I'm sure Zuma will tell you where they're located in Borno State, about 3 distinct locations, the Lake Chad Basin, Mandara Mountains, and then Sambisa Forest. So these things are not hidden. The president should be very categorical, declare a war on terrorism, after that of banditry, and then thirdly, the president should convene an expanded National Security Council. Now, this third one, the National Security Council, will achieve what General Temlong advised. We want a whole-of-government approach. That expanded National Security Council should have everyone that has political leverage as part of that. The president should invite them by virtue of his authority to invite additional members to that council. He should identify all those, members of the National Assembly, the Senate President, the Speaker of the House of Rep, some judges if possible,
the governors,
at least across the 6 geopolitical zones, so that they have a meeting to discuss this declaration of war they declare on both banditry and terrorism. And then at the end of that, the president should speak to us as Nigerians to tell us that this has been discussed, this is what has been agreed, this is the timeline for achieving the objectives of the declaration of war on banditry and declaration of war on terrorism. Now, what that would do, it would empower the various, especially the military. It will give them a clear directive, measurable directive. And the good thing is that the SGF can now start implementing the measurement mechanism through the policy, the special advisor to the president on policy and coordination, come up with key performance indicators based on this declaration to measure. Now, that would allow us to achieve the objectives of, first, a whole of government, a whole of society, whole of nation, and then whole of nations. These 4 things are very important. The Americans, that I would say precipitated this, are very familiar with a state of emergency in security. When I looked at the records, they've declared over their history 90 times. And in all of those 90 times, they were able to measure performances up until today. The most recent one is what happened after the I think January
January
6th, yeah,
6th,
when they
yes.
invaded the Congress, there was a declaration, and it allowed extra powers. Even now, Trump is considering, I mean, some of what he's doing is under judicial powers. What the president can do to support, and some of what myself and General Telong has said, is to use executive orders. That would allow him, because once he declared that emergency, he has extra powers to take certain decisions, and so executive orders in specific areas will do. But the most important thing is to make sure these things are measurable through key performance indicators. If we don't, unfortunately, the space will not be dominated, and we'll continue to see the type of attacks that we're seeing. Nobody wants that.
Nobody wants that.
Thank you very much, Dr. Adamu. Now, let's go back to General Telong now, because this is actually a very serious issue, and it involves a lot of collaboration, especially amongst our security agencies. And many have said there is no proper coordination and collaboration amongst our security agencies. So what do you think? How can government ensure that there is proper coordination and collaboration among the security agencies to tackle this, this challenge that we are facing right now?
Well, thank you very much. In fact, from your observation, you would have noticed that there has been a progressive collaboration between the security agencies since I think the last time they changed the service chiefs, when I think it was General Farouk and co that came on board. There had been a serious collaboration between the services. The rivalry and competitions that were going on helped for a more collaborative system. And I think that's what we thought of too, that the defense reforms that we did, which has been gathering dust, is to have given the Chief of Defense Staff more leverage and more bite to be able to coordinate that. And I think operating in silos has actually been helped, is no more as much. When you have even most of those at the strategic level, they have been training together. The DSS, NIA, the police and the rest, they're all trained in the National Defense College or NIPS and the rest. And so they get to understand and know themselves better. And they do collaborate even beyond what services, because we talk as classmates now. So I think that is being done. And then the National Counterterrorism Center, which is at the onset too, that's a lot of coordination too. So I think the important thing is that everybody should know that you are not working to get medals or being heroes for your own service or your own organization, but it is for the key objective of the objective is to get the security Nigerian secured. And so the objective is to get Nigerian secured, not to shine as a service. So I think that's what they are doing, and I think we need to go beyond that for the CDS to be able to collaborate more, because he will be taking the lead in all this situation, because he's the one who form up the task forces, the joint task forces, to be able to carry out these attacks in these areas. And so you do definitely need them talking together. And just like Dr. Kabiru said, we need to get everybody on board, even if it's not even an expanded national security council. There should be directives and coordination at the lower levels, and that is where I see the Office of the National Security Advisor doing a lot of those coordinations, but piping down. We did recommend a lot of those things too in the Armed Forces and Defense, Ministry of Defense reforms. So I think we need to go beyond just meeting at that level. It should even go down to the tactical level where the troops are operating, because if you start For example, if the DSS pick information from in Zamfara State, they should be able to pass those intelligence straight to the commander there on ground to act immediately while they are passing it up to their headquarters in Abuja. But if it goes to the headquarters in Abuja and then Abuja passes it to the service headquarters in Abuja, before it comes down to the commander in Gusau or anywhere in Zamfara State, that time has lapsed. So these people are mobile. They are not dug in a defensive location like they are fighting a conventional war. So they are not dug in. So they are mobile. So they move from camp to camp. So once you pass those information, and that's why I say that we must develop the capacity and capability to react decisively and as quickly as possible. And so you need lift capabilities, not vehicles. Unfortunately, state governors will buy vehicles, line up, pen them and say they have provided this. Those are not actually what you need. You need them, but what you need to go into those bush are beyond those vehicles. So I think we need to have a synergy. And that's where the president will now come in with the National Assembly. Because once he gets additional powers, then he should be able to direct certain procurement, direct the states to do certain things in conjunction with the commanders on ground, limit some of their powers, like I said, in this thing. And then, you take back some powers, even in the US, everywhere. But once there's an emergency, it's not going to be business as usual. So the citizens themselves will know that their rights and privileges will be capped for the better whole, for a period of time, for a better whole. So I think that's what we need to do. But going forward, the Office of the National Security Advisor and the Chief of Defense Staff, they have a lot of work to do in coordinating and making sure that the President's directive on the emergency are fully taken care of. One word about the forest guards. Yes, we did recommend at the National Defense College Alumni National Security Meeting, I think it was 2018, we came up and even called the forest guard people who said they had no scheme of service and the rest. And we did recommend for a proper forest guards like they have done now. But what you should understand too is that they are supposed to be an early warning thing because they do not have the bite to be able to fight these bandits and terrorists that they are there. Those people are so better armed than even some of the units that you see. In fact, I saw what sort of equipment that some of them have acquired recently, and they are quite deadly. They are going beyond what some of the units have. So I think we should be able to make sure that they are serving as an early warning thing for us where, like I said, reaction as quickly as possible. Let's not put them in a harm way. They believe that they are trained and then they go and start facing bandits to fight them, they'll be wiped out. So I think we should be able to have they know their limitations, just like the police know that when it goes beyond certain things, they don't have the equipment that those people have. They don't have the support weapons. Those people have anti-aircraft weapons. They have rocket-propelled guns and multiple launch rockets. And even the weapons they have, there's some of those Israeli very powerful weapons. So I think every service must know its limitations and know its capabilities. Let's go and do it in a good way, but we should be able to make sure that we know our limitations. Just like in medicine, a doctor will know when he should refer you to a consultant, and a consultant will know when it's beyond him to go to somebody beyond him. So I think that's what we should do, but not what happens today now that you see housemen carrying out operations, major operations that would have been done by consultants, and the patients end up dying. So that's what about the forest guard. But I think it's a very good initiative that we have done. We need to deploy more of them, but we need technology too in those areas because some of those places are difficult to go by. Unfortunately, our youth are no more adventurous as we were during our days. During our days, we could go around all the forests in our locations, the mountains, we could climb them and tell you all the routes. Today, people will come out from 1,000 kilometers away and dominate the forest that hitherto is unknown to them. And in fact, even use it more than the people who have been there. So it means that our youth are no more adventurous. We are no more dominating our forests. How do you see a herder leaving Sokoto or Katsina and going to Abia or Oyo and be able to know all the forest areas there, dominate those places and be dealing with the people there? I mean, it's something absurd. So we need to take back our country as quickly as possible from the bad people. We must get our youth to start being adventurous. We must get back our country from the criminals and make sure that everybody, like we said, like Kabiru has said too, and I've said too, that everybody is involved. And I want to thank NTA too, because you people are leading in all these discussions that is shaping what or the narrative for what we think the government should do and what the security agencies should do. So well done, NTA, for this initiative. You are part of the government, a whole of society approach. Thank you for doing what you are doing now.
Thank you so much, General Tenlong. We really appreciate you, and I like the fact that you've said that our youth are not adventurous enough. Well, actually, we used to be adventurous because we used to go for picnics in Sambisa Forest before it became what it is now. Thank you so much for your contribution. We appreciate you every time you come on Good Morning Nigeria to give us, you know, your take on issues on security. Thank you so much. Well, let's return back to the studio here, Kabir Adamu. Briefly, what specific powers does, this emergency grant security agencies, and is there a timeline for it, or would there a period be in just maybe 2 minutes for us?
Unfortunately, because the president did not declare a state of emergency, we can't say there is a timeline.
Okay.
And because it's a state of emergency in security and there are measures that the president mentioned, those measures are not time-bound. If we use, for instance, withdrawal of police personnel from VIPs, it's a bit ambiguous. The ones from VIPs have been withdrawn. What of the ones in organizations like NTA, like commercial banks, like oil companies? They are probably more than the ones with VIPs. So I think it's not very clear. There is need for follow-up determination, just like General Temlong mentioned. But what is even more important, I think, is for Nigerians to feel the urgency of the situation. Like we mentioned, the space needs to be dominated. And let me ride on what General Temlong said, to thank you, NTA, for creating this conversation, and hopefully to also plead with Mr. President. He should probably allow a select team of security experts, retired personnel like General Tenglong,
really absorbed,
to give them audience, even if it's for 30 minutes, to hear an alternative view. So that, because a lot of what we've mentioned here are things that would help his administration. The legacy of the Tinubu administration can be supported by some of the advice that we've given. So I hope he can spare time and give audience to experts, retired military personnel, security experts that are internationally acclaimed, and to give him some tips on how to implement and the urgency of the situation.
Do you think the government needs to collaborate with regional and international partners in the war against this?
Oh, definitely. We did not disaggregate the issues, because of time probably. But border security is crucial. We cannot. There are 4 items that if we want to suffocate the bad guys, let me quickly mention them. Their access to weapons. Most of it is coming through the borders. We must. Number 2, their ability to recruit. Number 3, funding. Especially in the shadow economy. We have to dominate that shadow economy. And then lastly, their ability to move from point A to point B. They move on motorbikes. We must implement mechanisms to stop them from moving. Once you do that, you suffocate them. And once you suffocate something, it dies naturally.
It dies naturally. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Kabir Adamu, Security Risk Management Expert. We appreciate you, as always, for breaking it down. I'm sure we're going to have a more elaborate conversation as time goes on.
Actually, we have several questions, but because of time, we will not be able. So, viewers said, we thank you, viewers, for sending your questions and comments. but due to time constraint, we'll not be able to respond to them. Maybe at another time we will take your questions and comments. So stay with us. We'll take a break now. When we return, we'll commence our discussion on our second topic, which is Zuma Film Festival. Stay tuned.
You're still watching Good Morning Nigeria, and it's time for our second topic this morning. I'll be discussing the Zuma Film Festival 2025. And we have guests seated here in the studios to, tell us what's going to happen and how it's going to roll out. We have seated here in the studio Dr. Ali Nuhu, Managing Director, Chief Executive, Nigerian Film Corporation. Welcome to Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you.
You were
and
here
good
last
morning.
year when we discussed this.
Yes.
Interesting times, how time flies.
Of course.
And we also have Alo Persik. He's the film scholar and coordinator, DART-funded international cooperation to support the preservation of Nigerian film heritage and partnership with the Nigerian Film Corporation. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning.
Pleasure to have you.
Yeah, also joining us to discuss is Brian Etuk. He's the public affairs, is the Director of Public Affairs, Nigerian Film Corporation. Brian, it's good to have you join us on Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you.
Also joining us is Mrs. Halima Oyelade, Zuma International Film Festival Director. Madam, good to have you.
Good morning.
All right. Okay, so let's kickstart with the with Nuhu now. The film festival provides a platform of filmmaking. What does this year's theme represent?
Okay, this year's theme is actually storytelling for global influence, film as a soft power and economic force. And what we're trying to do is to see that, one, we reposition our country, its image, and the way people see it globally. Then, aside that, we feel film is one of the tools that we can use, to change a lot of things about our country, about our economy, and even within the country itself, there's a lot that film has to do, film needs to play a major role. For instance, we're presently talking about insecurity across the country. So I think filmmakers have a role to play, the economic strategy of the country, and a whole lot of things. Film can play a role in it. Yes,
film can play a huge role. I've seen the movie The Herd.
Of course.
So quite interesting. Let's bring in Alo Persik into this conversation. You are now, you're working with the international cooperation to support preservation of Nigerian films, and heritage in partnership with the Nigerian Film Corporation. Now, with over 3,156 film entries from countries, around the world, in your opinion, how will the Zuma Film Festival 2025 balance global participation with highlighting Nigerian and also telling African stories?
I have been attending the big three film festivals for 20 years, Cannes, Berlin and Venice. And one sees that a good film festival does two things. It's a cultural gateway between the world and the local cinema. And a good film festival is also an engine of a cultural economy. What I have seen in the past 2 years is that Ali Nuhu has been doing a fantastic job together with NFC behind him in bringing Zuma Film Festival to that level. It really has become the sort of the star of the sub-Saharan film festival scene. To your point, 3,000 films, that's a very impressive number, and it certainly allows the local community to have access to important world-class films in a theatrical setting, really important, and it also allows the world to see the local production, the regional and the national production of Nigeria, really important. Okay. So I'm very happy to see both of that.
Yeah, it's happening now because we need to tell our stories, as Africans and as Nigerians, so that the world can see how Africa is. Because most people in the world are away from Africa think Africa is just a country and not even a continent with 54 countries. But I believe with this now, we're able to project ourselves on the global stage?
It's a very important showcase. Zuma Film Festival is the most important regional film festival in the third most important film industry in the world. So this festival is important in Nigeria, but it's also important for the world, because how else are they going to have this sort of concentrated access to the local film scene? This is the platform to showcase what you have been doing in the past year.
Yeah, it's a platform to showcase, I mean, what we have been doing over the years. And I know that the creative industry is one industry that is actually projecting Nigeria in a positive way globally, you know, and but whether in music, whether in the arts, whether in film and all that. So let's bring in the Mrs. Oyelade now. What are we going to see differently this year?
Okay. So what I'll say about seeing something different is that first of all, every year we try to be innovative, try to come up with something new, and like judging from the needs of our own immediate environment, which is Nigeria. So to say, we ensure that we look at the needs of the industry also.
Okay.
And so we bring in filmmakers, experts from around the world that can address that, and also give them the opportunity to connect and work together, opportunities to discuss co-production. Because we have what we call the co-production dialogue, and that happens there. And this year, for the very first time, we're partnering with the Directors Guild of Nigeria, which means that they are coming on board, and we're running 2 sessions together. That's a Film Finance Forum, where we'll be talking about financing, because financing is one of the major challenges a lot of filmmakers have. And so we're coming together, and
there seems to be more finance coming into the industry these days now. A lot of sponsoring, and that's why we are seeing our production is improved in quality and also the cost.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of, government is being intentional. Like recently, the Ministry of Arts, Culture, Tourism and the Creative Economy came up with the Creative Industry Development Fund, and that is, the filmmakers are also part. You can access funding from there. We have Bank of Industry having a whole department set aside just for funding of films, and other funding, like you said, opportunities are springing up. So what we're doing at Zuma, for instance, this year is having people that can talk to some of those things and make the industry practitioners aware that, okay, this is possible, this is where you can plug in, this is who you can talk to. So we bring, those kind of institutions together with the filmmakers and create a platform for them to discuss and look at opportunities for working together, funding, distribution, and also co-production, because we have international participation also from South Africa, we have from Spain, even as part of our jury from Cameroon, and from Iran. So we have a mix from Germany, of course. Yeah, so there's a mix of different experts from around the world that we can learn from, and they can also see what we're doing, and see what we can do together, like the industry in Nigeria. Because no industry exists in isolation. Every industry must have a space in the global scene. And that's what we're encouraging.
Indeed, no industry exists in isolation, and I see a lot of Nigerians out there, doing well, even in Hollywood and Bollywood also. And our film industry has grown beyond, where it used to be before, and it has grown. So let me bring in Mr. Etok into this conversation now. Let's talk about some specific, policies for supporting mechanisms like funding, training, distribution, and co-production deals. They are all in place, to ensure that ideas and contacts made during festivals like this sort of translate into sustainable growth for filmmaking. I'm talking in line with the theme of this year's Zuma Festival.
Okay, thank you very much. In fact, from your own perspective, what you've said is one of the reasons why we are mounting the festival. And from the feedback mechanisms, and the filters we've had over the years, we've tried as much as possible to widen the bouquet of the festival to make sure that the engagements, just like she said, are very robust and intentional, because we have to be intentional in what we are doing. And we've tried as much as possible to, after the festivals, we keep engaging with, the issues, the countries and commissions that participated. Like last 2 years, we were able to engage the Federal Inland Revenue because we have been engaging with, international film markets. We travel also to go and see what is happening. Issues about tax rebates and all of that. Funding is available. Next is tax. The other one is insurance. And the only way we can have this robust handshake is to have a co-production agreement with some of these countries. And we are doing that. We've had with South Africa, we had with France, we are talking with the Brazilians, we are talking with the Chinese and all of that. So this time around, they are excited because they are coming to see what we've done. They have discovered that the Nigerian film industry is now taking its rightful place, not just as a mention, but as within the creative economic ecosystem. We are very much there. We are doing that much. And so the vast opportunities, possibilities within the Nigerian film ecosystem is what we are trying to project through the festival. And like he said, 3,000 movies, films is not mean. We are trying to see how we can shape, the narratives and shape the opportunities and create windows for the Nigerian film industry and filmmakers particularly to thrive.
Okay. To thrive, the Nigerian film industry. Okay, let's come back to Dr. Lu now, because we know that Nigeria has a huge population of youths right now, and I think the film industry is one area in which some of these youth can be engaged positively. What besides this? What are other driving motivation beyond that film festival?
Okay, beyond the film festival, I think we're working on some policy changes. For instance, we're talking about the intellectual right policy. So there's a bill under that which our mother ministry, that's the Federal Ministry of Arts, Culture, Tourism and Creative Economy, and that of Trade. They're working hand in hand, and I think presently we're just waiting for the presidency to pass the bill. And that is to support and enable the teeming youths across the country to thrive in such a way that the intellectual property can be a sort of collateral when they're seeking for loans, one. Secondly, to see that we curb piracy. That's one thing we're doing. Then we're also pushing for the Film Commission Bill, which, of course, we're supposed to be a commission now, not a corporation. There are a lot of incentives we don't enjoy because we're still a corporation. We're crippled by the acts that established the corporation. So these are a couple of things that we're doing from this angle. And I think Madam Halima has just mentioned some of the supports that the filmmakers can be able to access through like the Creative Industry Development Fund, the BOI, Providence Bank, and all of that. So we're trying to see that we create an enabling environment for everyone that is interested in this sector to come on board. And even the film festival itself provides a platform where most of the upcoming talents can find a way into the industry, one. Secondly, network with the veterans that have been in the field over the years. So these are some of the things that we're trying to do. And we have like 4 regional offices across the country.
Okay.
And what we're trying to do through these offices is to see that...
Where are these offices?
Okay, we have one in Kano, we have one in Abia, Lagos, Asaba, and Yola.
Okay. You don't have one in Jos?
No, that's our headquarters.
That's your headquarters.
That's our headquarters. Yeah, so the thing is, and Abuja is a license office, then Kaduna too is a license office. So what we're trying to do is to see that there's a spread across the country. So we're trying to take satellite campuses of the National Film Institute which is directly under us, so that we can be able to organize trainings from time to time, so that everybody enjoys it. It's not easy for everybody to just travel from where they are into Jos, you know, so we want to break it down. So these are some of the things we're trying to do, and presently we're trying to do something under the IDICE program, which is to train about 12,000 youths across the country. So we're going to divide that into the different geopolitical zones that we have across the country. So these are some of the things we're pushing for.
Okay, you're pushing for some, but we still have some structural, you know, amendments to some of them because funding, distribution weaknesses actually is one of the bane of the film industry, and you know, piracy, limited infrastructure. Because I remember there was supposed to be a film village in Kano, but something happened along the way, and there's no established film industry that does not have a film village. We see them in Korea, we see them in China, we see them in America. So what's happening to Nigerian film village so that we don't go out borrowing people's houses to shoot movies?
Talking about film villages, I think we have a couple across the country. We have one in Kwara, we have one in Ibadan, we have about 2 or 3 in Lagos. You know, we have that, but these are private owned, not government owned. So in that line too, we're thinking along that line to have like film villages spread across. But I think the immediate need for the industry, like you mentioned, is distribution. And of course, under distribution, we are trying to see that we have community cinemas across the country. It's still in the premature stage, and we don't want to start, you know, announcing that until we're sure everything is set up. We're trying to do that. And what we plan to do is to get what you call the pop-up cinemas. These are the kind of cinemas that you just bring, and in 48 hours you assemble them, you know. And if the place is not favorable for it to run, then you can just couple it, take it to another place.
That's technology.
Yeah, so
happening. Mr. Alo, I would like you to talk. Let's talk about something. When I watch, you know, a lot of movies. I'm a movie freak. Actually, I can binge watch for hours to just watching movies, disappear into the movie. And I've seen a lot of Nigerians being portrayed, you know, in movies across the world now. But unfortunately, there's something that makes me cringe whenever I watch, you know, a portrayal of a Nigerian. It is the accent. We have different accents in Nigeria, different tribes, different languages, and then I hear an accent that's South African. So how are we going to make that possible, you know, by bringing up our own artists to participate in these movies so that we can at least align with the storyline of the movie and not just hearing a Mozambique accent or a South African accent being portrayed as a Nigerian? How can that be done?
Well, I think it's really important that you be able to tell your own stories in a way that you want to tell them. And one way to make sure that the world is seeing you the way you want to see is to be visible and strong on the world scene of the film industry. And it's also, I think, important to have Nigerian filmmakers work abroad. I think this is a really important key to that. There are Nigerian filmmakers working in Hollywood, that is important, but I think there aren't enough Nigerian filmmakers working in Europe. So if we can support them, that would be good. Some are, and they're doing very well. There's a filmmaker, a screenwriter who has actually worked with Arinohu, Tunda Aladese, who works in Germany and is very successful. She's being engaged in projects that require a more authentic representation and portrayal of Nigerians, for instance, or Western Africans. So that really ensures the nuanced portrayals of Nigerians.
How does a film industry actually operate in your own country?
Well, our film industry in Germany, but in Europe as a whole, is strongly supported by government, as opposed to, for instance, the way things work in the States. So there's a big difference there. And this allows to come to fore voices that would otherwise not find a larger visibility. I think this is really important. And I know that in Nigeria, there's also a philosophy where it is important for the government to support cultural industries, and I know that the cinema is one of these industries that government is really looking at to support.
So you have a huge government support in your country?
I wouldn't say it's huge, but it's really important, and it works hand in hand with industry.
Okay.
So that allows filmmakers not to have to always abide by the sort of roof laws of the market, but be a little more relaxed and be a little more personal in their approach to filmmaking.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. Mrs. Oyelade, I mean, the film industry seems to be all-comers affairs now. I mean, everybody wants to act. Everybody wants to, you know, be an actor. I said to myself that when I retire, I would also go and... I've always loved to act, but then, you know, this work constrained me. I can't do two things.
You're still acting. You're an actor sitting down now.
Well, I mean, in a way.
in a way.
So, so we see a lot of people coming into the movie industries these days. I mean, especially you see them on YouTube and all that stuff. Is that, are you trying to... Is there any way you can try to streamline them, or that kind of a thing, to ensure that we have quality materials in our film industry?
All right. So for the online space, I think that's maybe a bit challenging because we do not have the powers, and that's why the MD was saying earlier that the Nigerian Film Corporation should be a commission, because a commission would be have more regulatory powers and can now put things in order and in check. But if you don't have those powers, you can't really enforce certain things. But what we can do is to encourage what we see. And then sometimes, of course, the truth about it is that Nigerians are very creative. I always say that the greatest resource Nigeria has is its human resource.
Yeah. Because
we're just amazingly creative. We see things online, and it's just that there needs to be a structure. And there needs to be, because freedom without confines can lead into so many things. And so we're hoping when the Film Commission Bill is finally signed into law and all of that, we'll be able to put proper structures that we have to ensure that some of these things are streamlined. Of course, you cannot stop people totally from wanting to express their creativity. And some of them, as they do that, they stumble. But then we can encourage, systems where, okay, you don't just go there, maybe get some training, do this, do that, and ensure that there's some sort of structure to some...
Are there structures already in place, or you're just thinking of having structures?
Like structures for the film industry?
Yeah, I mean, to encourage people who are showing interest.
Yeah, so I think the MD answered, like in terms of training, what NFC does. Because one of the things that shifted, we were talking earlier about the fact that our films are getting better and all of that, is training. And a lot of those people came from the National Film Institute, the NFI. By the time a lot of our students were going into the industry, people began to understand that if I get trained, I'll do better. I'll understand how this works. So it's not, like you said, an all-comers affair. Yes, I can pick up a camera and do whatever I want to do, but if I get trained, I can do better, no matter how good I think I am. So really that is...
and there are some who are born with it to be natural actors, actually.
Yeah, but talent is never enough.
Talent is never enough. So we see a lot of content creators and all that these days.
So, Mr. Brian, now let's talk about the metrics, and they're used after this festival to sort of gauge the success, beyond the awards. For example, let's talk about co-productions initiated and all that. And it's a shift, for the festival based to be in Abuja here, and what does it mean for the Abuja residents who want to go there to be able to watch, how it's done? I would love to be there, actually, if I'm invited to go and see how it's done, because usually we just see it on the television and on the social media. And like my co-presenter said, we have a youth population who are yearning, to be able to express themselves and, contribute to telling the story of Nigeria to the outside world.
Well, thank you very much. What we do, or what the film festival is to the Abuja community, is that the opportunities are just wide enough. We have created the programs, we have sessions for emerging talents for the youths, to come around. And one good thing is that the festival is government funded, so it's not a fee-paying activity. So it's free, but you have to register so that we can keep track of those who can, who are attending. And one thing might interest you. Last edition, we had just a participant who, we had an AI session last year, and we had a youth that came just to participate. And today, he himself has become an expert, also training people. So we create this opportunity for, several layers of engagement for training capacity that, goes down. And then on the other side, we have these economic activities. People are coming into town. The cinema is going to be bossy. We are going to screen every day at the Silverbird Cinema Jabi. It's free. People need to go there, see the movies. People are going to be inspired because what you see will be able to inspire you. So if you have some interest, come around, engage, network. We also create rooms for mentorship. People mentor, sideline networking is a whole package. So we are hoping that this time around, FCT residents and those who want to join us, can still come and then be part of this cinematic experience.
I have a message for Alinu. Somebody sent it. Ahmed Baba Dukwa from Maiduguri said, going forward, maybe Alinu and partners can explore cinematizing the fall of the 1,000-year Kanimbono Empire to the ruthless conqueror Rabi. And this is a story of monumental power, shocking upheaval, and visual grandeur. It's not just history; it's essential cinema. And I'm going to come to you on that. How do you encourage, young people, like I said? Because when I started on stage at the age of 9. Yes, we used to cram a whole book. The Gods Are Not to Blame, The Marriage of Anansewa, Dalima, and all that. We crammed everything and acted on stage. When Nollywood started, and I felt like I wanted to go before Kannywood started, and somebody told me, don't go. There's this cultural, that culture that holds us back. Don't go, you're going to dress naked. Nobody, they'll be telling you to wear miniskirts and all that. And I got scared, and because there was no mentorship to tell me that I could go. I can achieve and I can do so many things. So all the years of, acting on stage and doing all that is gave me the platform for what I'm doing today. But some of us still have inside us, the urge, the wish that we could at least participate and contribute. So how do you encourage, people come, especially, you're breaking so much barriers in the house FM industry. You know how much you were criticized. So how do you do that?
Yeah, so the thing is, I think we have to break that stereotype. It all depends on you as an individual and what you aim for, what you actually want to be. There are people that are role models in the society and they don't dress naked right from when they started. For instance, let me even give you a typical example. Take somebody from the south like Genevieve Naji. You've never seen her in a bikini. Nah. And she's been very successful. Yeah. So I think it's it all depends on your mindset and what you want to do. When you look at the north, we have people like Umi Baba Ahmed. She's done so well. Rahama Sado, all of them. Yeah. So you don't have to unless you as an individual want to. I have been, as an actor, I've been very selective of the kind of roles I do. And I'm running a successful career. You don't have to be in every movie. That was then. Now the opportunities are here. I'm telling you, when Nollywood started, that's, the culture, no. Yeah, okay. No, but it still works this way because, scripts differ or they vary. So it depends on what you select as an actor that you want to do. Okay. And you work by your rules. That's it.
Okay, so you can,
nobody will force you.
So you can say, okay, I'm not taking this role.
Yes.
This is the role I want to take.
And that works for you.
All right, we have also this comment from Nandom Weir is from Jos. Now you say, Nandom Weir from Jos, finishing a film is in itself an impressive achievement. How can we transform our audiences into sustainable communities and deepen the relationship between fans and creators? One. Then secondly, he asked, how do we ensure that artists are the direct beneficiaries of the rewards of their films? Thank you for your service. God bless Nigeria.
Okay, talking about the relationship between fans and, creators.
Yes.
I think when you take the industry, when you look at a place like Kannywood, That has been achieved. Let me tell you, there are some companies that are household names. You go on walls of some houses and you see they write the name of the companies. You go, you see all these wheelbarrow pushers, they write the name of some companies. And that's because of their addiction and the relationship they've been able to establish. In the north, you have teeming fans that are diehard fans of Adam Ezango, Sani Denja, Alinu, and all of that. And you don't cross the line when it comes to their actors. And that's because I talked about the idea of community cinemas.
Yeah.
In the north, we step it down to these communities. We premiere some of our films in these communities. When they're done with the run on, the major cinemas across the country, you step it down for those people. So it all depends on the accessibility to these films, one. And secondly, how are you able to relate with them? Sometimes actors go for meet and greets. And they build a connect with their fans. Some fans will tell you, oh, this person's film is premiere. I will go because I might be able to see the person. Funke Akindele, Toyin Abraham, a couple of them from the south too have been able to achieve that. So I think it's about how you connect with your fans.
Meet and greet.
Yeah, meet and greet. One, secondly.
And the second one says, how do, artists benefit from the rewards of their films?
Okay, yeah, you see, artists benefit from the rewards of their films depending on, that depends on what kind of film that actor is in. For instance, you have the A-grade films where you write out contracts and I think some actors even demand for royalties, maybe 1%, 2%. I've seen RMD do that a couple of times, Then if you're writing a contract as an actor with the filmmaker, you want that you're supposed to stress that out and let them know, okay, this is my condition. Even after, when you get your return on investments, the profits, I want to have this % of it. If the filmmaker feels, yes, you have that commercial potential for them to go into that with you, they will do that.
All right.
We'll do that.
Because of time.
Okay. 1 minute, we have
Let's talk about the film festival now.
Yes.
When is it starting?
Okay. The film festival starts today. We're having the opening ceremony today at Jabi Lake Mall by the lakeside, and the light up nights. Then the first film is screening tonight. After that, it will run all through up until the 5th of December. Okay. Where we're doing the award ceremony, which of course we call the closing ceremony. Okay, the award ceremony. And so we just have to round up. Actually, we had 2 topics and we wish we can talk some more on this.
Is there any special features?
Is there any yes.
Yeah. Special features?
Like we have the annual lecture.
Okay.
The NSA annual lecture for this year is going to be delivered by His Excellency the Governor of Plateau State. And then, of course, like I said, we have the Directors Guild and NFC combined program. And for the first time, we have a children's segment that has been supported by UNICEF. Yes. I like that. And then we have the Women in Film Forum. We have another AI and digital innovation lab that comes up tomorrow morning. And then with the Chinese also, we have 2 experts that have come in from China. I love Chinese movies. Yeah, so one will be screening tomorrow evening at 4 p.m. And then at the China Cultural Center, they will have a master class. And then, of course, Q&A afterwards. And then we have our friends also from Germany that will be taking a session on archiving and all of that. So there's a lot. There's a lot. Okay, Halima Oyodele, Zuma International Film Festival Director. Thank you. You were here last year and you're here today, so we're talking about it. We appreciate you. And Brian Etok, Director of Public Affairs, Nigerian Film Corporation. It's been nice talking to you on it. And Alo Pestic, he's a film scholar and coordinator, DART-funded international corporation to support the preservation of Nigerian film heritage and partnership with Nigerian Film Corporation. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
And Dr. Ali Nuhu, Managing Director, Chief Executive, Nigerian Film Corporation. Thank you so much. I'm one of your fans, actually, so I will not cross the line to other fans. It's been a pleasure having you. Yes, it's been a pleasure having you and, talking about this. And
telling Nigerians that it's open for
How
them.
you
to
have
answer.
room for people like us?
Definitely we do.
We asked them last year. Don't worry, he doesn't even pick his calls. So thank you so much for coming. And that's Good Morning Nigeria for today. We appreciate you on behalf of the crew. I am Zuma Yusuf.
And I'm Ademola Adio. You have a lovely